My grandfather Antonio was a very wealthy man. Uh, he made a fortune by establishing a chain of movie theater across America. Um, he was the man who he was a um, self-made man who went from rags to riches. He grew a small business into a multi-million enterprises. Money doesn't grow on tree. He get he used to say. Um, he taught his children and grandchildren the true value of money raising from hard work and perseverance and ambition. He earned his millions all by himself, without winning a lottery or getting an unexpected inheritance from long lost uncle. From his own experience, he knew how to live from paycheck to paycheck, or to be so broke you can't even afford to buy a bus fare. He was a reasonable spender. He never threw money down the drain. Um, so he preferred to make investments or put his savings into a bank rather than waste money on fancy boats or luxury cars that cost a fortune. He got rich but doing what he loved. I'm very proud of my grandpa. He worked hard and lived by his principles. He was an honest man, paying taxes and refusing to give bribes to licensing officials. Also, he was at the same time he was a generous philanthropist. Um, he donated considerable amount of money to build schools in poor districts. Uh, he never got Even though he never got a college degree and he strongly believed in education, but he established a charity fund providing grants and scholarships to people from poor backgrounds who were strapped for cash. He always said that way spend money on education is never wasted. Uh, Also, he made the frequent 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 donations for support to support business program for immigrants launching their startups. My grandpa came to the USA 60 years ago from Salvador, the small country in the Central America. Uh, he was poor. He was the first. He was as poor as the church mouse, so he had to borrow money from his family back at home, but they lent him as much as they could. Uh, so for his first years in America, he lived on a shoestrings. Um, and the cost of living in USA was much greater than in their in his home country. Uh, like most immigrants, when they just arrived to the land of opportunity in search of fame and fortune, he took serious, low-paying and unskilled jobs, as a dishwasher or as a cleaner and construction worker. Living on a tight budget, took a very chance to earn a bit of money. Also, he was and to make ends meet. He also swept the floor by nearby the store and moonlighted as a security guard at the nightclub. He still owed money to his family, so he had to work day and night to pay off his debts. And this hard time taught him to respect people. He always tipped waiters, taxi drivers, cleaners, and other security and other service industry workers, because he was in their shoes and he knew what it was like to be in need. Once he was out of his debts, and he started saving up money by depositing them into a bank account. That time he met my future grandmother, his future wife, my grandmother to be. He was very shy to approach her, so he applied for a job, a local movie cinema where she worked, to see her more often. Then where he fell in love with cinema, while she fell in love with him. He bought an expensive expensive diamond ring that cost him arm and legs, and proposed her. Soon they got married. Eventually, he promoted from movie projectionist to a cinema manager. A few years later, he was running the entire building, theater. When he earned a sufficient amount of money, and he could afford to buy a car and bigger apartment for his family. Also, he kept stashing money into a saving account and received interest. He started invested in cash. Money makes more money, he always said. When he had saved enough money, he decided to start his own business. He took out $50,000 from his account, where he was keeping money for a rainy day. Also, he, in addition, withdrawing cash from the bank, he also cashed out stocks and sank most of his money on a small cinema theater by his own. That's how he became a business owner. But his first venture, I'm sorry, my neighbors are so noisy. But his first venture turned out to be failure due to the poor location choice and lack of experience. So his business started off well, but wasn't making too much profit, and he went belly up after 6 months. He was running out of money, uh, so he had to take a loan and sell his car to settle his debts. Soon he went bankrupt. He lost all his money and he had to start it from scratch. Um, Unfortunately, didn't this failure didn't discourage him in slight test. So instead of beating himself, he did the best to learn from his mistake. Um, then he get enrolled to the entrepreneurship course. Then a year later he came up with a proper business plan and started looking for in sponsorship. Um, he managed to find a few investors and raise enough capital to buy one more movie theater. Things grew well, and things were well, and over the years it grew into a chain of 60 locations across 34 states. On his 80th birthday, Grandpa said that he decided to retire and go on his trip around the world. And he said that he had achieved everything he ever dreamed of. Through a couple of years later, he died. Now my family inherited his business, and my turn to take a lead.